Hi, welcome to Saturn in Aries. This week starts with a lot. The moon will be almost in Gemini when you wake up. You might have one of those it's easy to wake up, no alarm days because the moon conjoins Uranus around 7 a.m. Pacific time. So Monday is busy. Monday connects. Monday's the dark moon in Gemini. So the moon is losing light. So this is like a cold time of wrapping things up. So how can things be busy and winding down? Things are busily winding down. You might be running around trying to put your ducks in a row. I'm messing with my hair. I have this like 70s thing happening. So you might be running around trying to put your ducks in a row. And this dark moon connects with Saturn just ingressed into Aries and Neptune in Aries. So you're going to have to this moon connects somehow in the Gemini part of your life with the Aries part of your life. How you're going to have to whip yourself up into a delusional frenzy, a delusional, very disciplined frenzy. So, like I said, the dark moon is configured to Saturn and Uranus in Aries, and on Monday, first thing, because Saturn just entered Aries, right when the moon enters Gemini, it'll make a sextile with Saturn. So what is a chatty moon in Gemini doing with just freshly fallen Saturn in Aries? And immediately, Mercury conjoins the moon. The moon conjoins Mercury also. I'm having one of those days where I don't know how to talk. I wish I could just give you some crayon drawings of what the week is going to look like, and maybe I'll do that at a future week. So the moon sextiles Saturn, conjoins Mercury, and sextiles Neptune. And it's Mercury finally at home. Remember, like a month ago, Mercury was in terrible condition. Lately, Mercury's been fine. And now it's really good, but it's a lot. Just like Monday is a lot. And I just had to pause my video to fantasize about making you a channeled crayon drawing for every day of the week, which would not be astrology. And it would be something closer to what the Sabian symbols are, which were not astrology. They were channeled. Just channeled on behalf of each degree of the zodiac, which is interesting. The moon's last aspect before conjoining the sun is a trine with Pluto. And the sun just recently trined Pluto. So there's something that access to a deep well of power or corruption of power going deeply well, especially because Saturn is now fallen. So the themes of power being so heavy-handed that people don't want to follow the rules, and Pluto being corruption, the ruler of corruption, is now in its sign of fall, where it doesn't have the resources and it's exerting harsher than usual regulations, and it is the boss of Pluto. Pluto is corruption. So in the world, I think of this as the mandatory metaverse, the more mandatory metaverse. The one thing that I keep bringing up in this as an example is that the real ID stuff is starting to be enforced now. It's more and more mandatory that you join the digital world, which is, it's difficult to, I have a lot of thoughts on, I used to report the tech news, and so if you were here for that, and I might start reporting it again, I don't know. Mostly I've been putting them in posts in my membership area. But I struggle with criticizing, being critical of the we all have to have digital ID. It's because we do. There are lots of things happening that just make that necessary. And I think of it as the cell phone thing because I'm older. When like, there were like holdouts. I knew some holdouts who like didn't have a cell phone for a really long time, and then they finally buckled because everybody has a cell phone now. So everybody's gonna have your identity is a wallet, and you're gonna have, everybody's gonna be tired of screens, so it's gonna be glasses and implants. And that's Monday. That's what Monday's about. So the dark moon is luckily configured to Jupiter very loosely. It's co-present with Jupiter. So that's something. And Mercury in Gemini it's one of those times. It happens all the time. It doesn't happen every time, but it happens pretty frequently. This dark moon in Gemini, Mercury is there. So at least can like call some shots, do a little bit of steering of the ship. Jupiter is like trying to help, but maybe not as helpful. Maybe just all over the place. And this dark moon connects back to December 15th, 2024, which was the full moon in Gemini. So we have these lunar cycles that are every fortnight-ish, dark and full moon, but we also have these 6-month cycles, and that's the last lunation in the same zodiacal neighborhood. And so December 15th, 2024 was it was the full moon in Gemini, and Mercury was also stationing direct, so it was a really important full moon. And I'm getting off track because I'm thinking of the stuff that happened around then, and it was very monumental in my life. So so all the energy of that has like been expended. There's been like a cycle of energy of like, well, okay, that was that period. And now we can take a pause and look forward. And that might be particularly potent because of the way that was like a full moon with Mercury stationing. So that's maybe something changing, and perhaps you've been dealing with the fallout of that change ever since, which could be the case with any full moon to dark moon 6-month cycle. It just depends on like what part of your life is the sign of Gemini in this case. And then the next full moon, so like we're like planting the seed, I'm going to use the cliche terms for the dark moon, which I call it the dark moon because that is when the moon conjoins the sun. The new moon is when the moon has become visible again after having disappeared. So we'll plant our seeds and whatever. Not to be flippant about it, because that could be a very sacred process. But the next, wait, I have to go back because I was being flippant because I'm doing a thing where I'm recording whilst not as grounded as I would like to be. And I'm also recording at night, which I feel like the lighting is better or different. I haven't recorded at night in a long time. I used to record at night all the time. So I'm a little like out of sorts. Nothing feels right. And we're in a period where all these slow moving planets are changing signs. So I just want to touch on setting intentions because I was really flippant about that. And I didn't mean to be. Which is a thing in my life. I didn't mean to be because I'm constantly setting intentions. One thing, okay, I have to read you this. I hope I wrote it down here and not somewhere weird, which is also a thing. I'm just if you could see my world, it would be very schizo. because it's just writing things all over. It looks like an insane person. Okay, I gotta find this. Okay, so this is Marianne Williamson on Lacey Phillips's Expanded podcast, and it's beautiful. It's about working through chaotic times, much needed. This is the second time I had listened to it, and she was talking about having a meditation practice in the morning. See, I'm really doubling down on all this intention setting stuff now because I feel like I like poo-pooed it or something a minute ago. But just to show you that's not really how I feel. She's talking about having a meditation practice in the morning, and she's very specific about saying that it doesn't mean like you have to meditate for an hour or 20 minutes or even 10 minutes or even 5 minutes. It's just like meditate for 2 seconds if you can. Just start your day before you look at your phone or anything with like one quiet moment of any kind and set your intention. So she was talking about how like things can go well if your first moments of the day you set your intention to serve good, the powers of good. And so this is a quote I want to read. I'm just going to read it. If you do not set your intention to serve the light, the darkness of pathology and neurosis, depression and fear will beat you all day. No, it doesn't say beat. It says will be at you all day. This is my crazy writing. Because it's your own mental energy. And then she gives an example of like in the morning, you could say, I want my mental energy to proactively be extending light and love and peace and forgiveness today. I thought that was really beautiful. So while you could set maybe I should set an intention to just make that my intention every day, unless I'm inspired divinely for something else. Because I've been doing this thing in my class with my Reiki teacher, Lara. I'm doing that breathwork class that I mentioned a few weeks ago, where I'm supposed to be setting an intention every day. And I found myself not doing it because I feel pressured to make something up, and also because maybe I'm so mental that I just don't want to be mental in the morning. But if I just put that on autopilot, what is it again? I want my mental energy to proactively be extending light and love and peace and forgiveness today. Okay, so the dark moon in Gemini. I feel like that was like appropriately all over the place and informational enough to convey the quality of that time. So Monday night is I've been talking about Monday. Monday night is we have the ruler of this lunation applying to a trine with Pluto, just like the moon just did, and also like the sun just did. So Pluto in Aquarius is being very activated. Let's look at what that means in technology. The thing I keep thinking of for Pluto in Aquarius is that artificial intelligence is us. And I have a lot of secret thoughts about artificial intelligence that I'm not ready to give to you because I haven't fully worked them out. But if this lunation connects with the new, more mandatory metaverse, then Pluto in Aquarius is a part of that. And it's also power masquerading as like a warm, fuzzy group of people. And eventually it'll be like deep wells of unstoppable invincibility in terms of how we all connect with each other, but Pluto's at the very beginning of Aquarius, so the healing, I'm sure some people are experiencing that, but there's also some healing that needs to happen, and Pluto's form of healing is challenging. So this is Mercury trine Pluto. So in a way, it's like calling out successfully, giving, it's either Mercury's like, I mean, Mercury's working for itself. So this is an ability to say, or whoever the Mercury character is, to say what you think about something, speaking to, or like a message about this power structure and it going well, or it being like happening very naturally, in which case speaking of which, have you read my thing that I wrote on spring 2025? It's in a print journal, so you can't read it online right now, and the link is below. And I don't know if they have any more, but if they do, you should read it, because it's very much along these lines. And it also functions as, because this spring 2025 is like, the stage is being set for many years to come. And so this, I think, will age well, even if it's not in the way I think. And I think it's a pretty good guide to navigating the world over the next few years. So everything starts now, so it's about spring 2025, but later this same writing shall be repackaged as talking about like the next few years, because spring 2025 talks about the next few years. And so on Tuesday is the first word out of my mouth was going to be boring, but I don't really know if that's the case. That's not the case at all. Tuesday is a pretty good day. So we have like, after the moon sextiles Mars, so you wake up to Mercury trining Pluto. So I don't know what kind of news that is. That's some kind of news. Or delivery. Or going somewhere close. I don't conflate the signs with the houses, by the way. Mercury is just one way to like go from here to there. One form of going from here to there. The moon is another. And the moon was classically associated with the third house, not Mercury. It's not wrong. It works, but it's not, you're missing stuff if that's like the gist of how you delineate the houses. So if you're here, then you probably already know that. So most of the day on Sunday, the moon is, see, I try to look at the camera, but then if I look at my screen, I will know that my little date dot is in the right or the wrong place. But since I'm trying to look at the camera, I don't know that. So most of the day on Tuesday is just the moon applying to a sextile with Mars. So that's energetic and still a lot. Like Monday, Tuesday, a tiny sliver of Wednesday, but not really. It's negligible. Monday and Tuesday are like, it makes me think of like a bunch of Muppets when they're like, when the Muppets are going crazy. Because does anybody? They like do this. I'm sure there's a gif of that somewhere. That's kind of like, it's like Muppet Bedlam. Monday and Tuesday, but with like a some kind of like triumphant, performative, dramatic, angry edge. Once we get past the moon in Gemini sextiling Mars in Leo, we have the moon in Gemini sextiling Venus in Aries. And Venus is about to move into Taurus. So this is much nicer than, I said it was a much more empowered Venus in Aries transit, but like still Venus in Aries. Like, I guess we're like, okay, that like, it is what it is. Things are whatever, Venus in Aries. Kind of violent, maybe not as high quality as that Venus direct in Pisces, but they're about to get much better. So Tuesday's pretty nice, especially if you're on the West Coast. You have a little bit more of that nighttime. Well, it's not any better or worse. It's just different. So if you're on the West Coast, then Venus, the moon completes. So the moon is like in the evening. Tuesday evening seems nice. The moon completes its sextile with Venus in Aries around 8:30, a little bit before. And then the rest of the night is the moon applying to conjunction with Jupiter. So this is the tail end of Venus in Aries, and it's also the tail end of Jupiter in Gemini. And what's funny, so Mercury is going to like go through Gemini so quickly. So we're at a point, and I just remember this. So, because I'm like, oh, Jupiter's about to move into Cancer, and Jupiter is about to move into Cancer. I feel like, Mercury is in Gemini for like 2 weeks. That's it. That's, yeah, in next week's video, I will be talking about how Mercury is moving into Cancer. So, enjoy Mercury in Gemini. It's the swiftness. Get caught up in the swiftness. Okay, maybe the audio is a little better because I realized I forgot to turn my overhead fan off. Okay, so Tuesday seems fun. We're getting a final taste. The moon conjoining Jupiter. So this is the last moon conjoining Jupiter in Gemini. The next time the moon conjoins Jupiter, that will be in Cancer, and that will be nice. But that will be in about a month, and that'll be it's a little rocky at first with Jupiter in Cancer, but you get over it quickly. I'm looking at my screen, so I know when to change the date. So on Wednesday morning, if you're on the East Coast, you get, or if you wake up early on the West Coast, because some people do that, then you can really tap into that, like do some early morning writing or something on Wednesday morning, which Wednesday, Mercury's day. So the day and hour of Mercury, really like get after it. And then the moon will move into Cancer around 10:30 a.m. Pacific, so like in the afternoon if you're on the East Coast. And then, so Wednesday morning is nice. Wednesday afternoon, evening is a little more complicated because we have the moon in Cancer now squaring Saturn and squaring Neptune. And this is giving us, so like the moon, sorry, now my fan is off and I'm getting hot. Jupiter is about to move into Gemini and immediately square Saturn in Aries. And this is the third of 3 Jupiter-Saturn squares, watched my managed wellness video for more about that. Because the first two are about something and this one is about something else. And there was a little, if I remember correctly, I can't think of those right answers right now. There's something about, like, I think RFK Jr. was super campaigning, or no, he dropped out of the race around the first Jupiter Saturn square, and he's a major Bitcoin hype person, and he's definitely joining the establishment no matter what. So all of the campaigning is a way to warm you up. So all of this blockchain technology combined with health stuff equals managed wellness, which many of the health things he speaks of, I am fully supportive of course. But it's more complicated. There's an undertone of other stuff that is not being talked about that's weird. And that's all in my managed wellness video, which you can go watch. So I'm just moving into the future. I'm not even talking about Wednesday, but I kind of am. So this Jupiter Saturn square happens in mid-June. So it's coming very quickly. And so the moon, activator of the zodiac, is moving through Cancer, is doing a pass through Cancer till before Jupiter moves in. And so Wednesday has some kind of foreshadowing or forelightning. I'm going to think of a better way to say that. Around mid-June. And somehow connects to last August and this past December somehow, but it's more directly hearkening to mid-June and this final Jupiter-Saturn square. Something about how it's hard to, this is definitely, the moon in Cancer squaring Saturn and Neptune in Aries is definitely checking your social media the minute you open your eyes. Not really doing what's right or feels good for your body in favor of joining the more mandatory metaverse. Thursday is weirdly simple in its complexity. It is just the exterior Cazimi of a dignified Mercury. So you get some space on Thursday, and all day the moon is applying to a square with Venus, which I'm going to call good. A square with a benefic is it's not, maybe not easy. I keep having to pause the recording because I'm recording this past my bedtime. And this place in Gemini, early Gemini, is a place of almost too many options. Or so there's Mercury is in much better condition than it has been because there was the whole Pisces thing, which was a hot mess. Literally a hot mess. And then the Taurus thing, which was it was fine until then Mercury conjoined Uranus. And so that could be Uranus can be upsetting in its surprises, even if it brings good surprises. But Mercury's in much better condition. And this is the exterior Cazimi is always that's Mercury's conjunction with the sun, is always a looking forward. If Mercury is messenger of the gods, the interior Cazimi is Mercury at the heart of the underworld. This is Mercury with the gods in the heavens, making proclamations or thinking stuff, sending and receiving messages from that place. So what is that like? The downloads you get, the things you want or can conceive of in the Gemini part of your life are from that place, up in the heavens. So they could be very broad, very lofty. And it's also interesting we have the Cazimi here because it's like the last bit of like, okay, Jupiter just went through Gemini and we like took on maybe way more than we could handle, or we got like way too much information, like way too many courses, way too many new books, way too many free PDFs. And this Mercury conjunction with the Sun feels like a way of like processing all that optimism in a deep, what would be like the heavens word for deep, in a profound way that helps us move forward. And then Jupiter is in better condition. So what a gift for this like very brief transit of Gemini. So this is also the tail end of like things moving through Taurus, contacting Uranus. I was thinking that because so all day we have that Mercury Cazimi, and for just all day long, the moon is applying to a square with Venus in Aries. And I was thinking, like, is Venus in Taurus yet? Is that happening? Because I feel like it's like about to happen. And it is, but it's not till next week. The thing I was thinking of was that, so this is like the tail end of things moving through Taurus, contacting Uranus. And I think of that because also the moon on Friday sextiles Uranus, which kind of takes us back to the events of next week. And then the moon dives from Cancer into Leo. But the thing I was thinking about planets contacting Uranus in Taurus, and this being the tail end of that, is so Venus is going to transit Taurus and basically like high five Uranus, and then Venus moves into Gemini, and then Uranus moves into Gemini. And that's in July, the beginning of July. So that's interesting for like what the time of now is and what's coming up. But that doesn't have like a ton to do with Friday directly, just very indirectly, because the moon squares Uranus in the wee hours between Thursday and Friday, and the moon sextiles Uranus in the morning on Friday. So another like easy to wake up early kind of morning, unless you're me and you need 12 hours of sleep every day. I have a lot of Pisces. So Friday is louder, brighter. Once the moon was into Leo, the moon trines Saturn and trines Neptune. So we're getting like, I feel like there's more VR stuff. There's more meta glasses. We're getting like, this is different. This is the future. The moon is activator of the zodiac, activating these futuristic planets. And although like Aquarius is more like the sign of the future, but Pluto is in Aquarius, sextiling these planets, these slow-moving planets in early Aries. And aside from that, what Aries has been for us recently as a as beings has been social media. Uranus moving into Aries was like Instagram. Your identity is a internet profile, and now your identity, your internet profile becomes this like non-fungible soul-bound wallet solution. And that is Friday, except right now it's just like VR and blockchain equals security, and don't you want a quantified self health membership? So the moon opposes Pluto at night and trines Saturn and Neptune during the day. So Friday is all about the future. And it also kicks that Mercury Cazimi that we had on Thursday when the moon was in Cancer, and you could kind of like chill and maybe like imagine stuff. Friday and Saturday really kick that into gear. Like it's being put into practice, I think, immediately. And I say that because Saturday, all that's happening on Saturday is the moon sextiles the sun, which I don't talk about a ton, but it's the moon sextiling the sun and then immediately sextiling Mercury. So activator of the zodiac, moon, is activating Thursday. So Saturday activates Thursday. If you get no other information out of this, I guess that's fine. There's a lot of other great information in this, but that's a nice soundbite, I guess. And Saturday night could also be maybe vigorous, energetic, maybe do something that requires energy, or I guess I won't elaborate on that, but the whole day, Saturday, like the moon activating the Sun Mercury Cazimi, which that was a redundant statement. A Cazimi means it's a conjunction with the sun. That stuff happens in the morning, and then most of the day on Saturday is just the moon applying to Mars, and it goes exact at night, but Saturday could be kind of aggro unless you have something to be busy in a like energetic way with your body or with your mind if you're an engineer, or like figuring something out with like with like your tongue sticking out, like that kind of thing, like trying to work on something, or maybe something fun if it's like energetic fun. But as we learned last week, the Mars in Leo trine Venus in Aries is not necessarily fun, but it might be. And I say that also because the moon immediately trines Venus, because Mars and Venus are still pretty close in aspect. And Sunday it's June now. We're halfway through, basically, almost. Okay, not quite, almost. We're almost halfway through 2025. So Sunday is interesting because the moon all day is applying to a square with Uranus, which is like, there are more surprises. Kind of going back to last week, there was a lot of Uranus stuff. But it immediately sextiles Jupiter. So Jupiter and Uranus are not in aspect right now, traditionally speaking. They're in signs that are considered averse, but they're at the same exact degree of those signs. And the moon in Leo is configured to each of them. So this gives me a little, like, it's a weird, like, hearkening back to, like, the mid to late April of last year, 2024, when Jupiter conjoined Uranus in Taurus. So that is what that makes me think of. And the rest of the day, the moon is void. So you get a pass, I guess, on Sunday. You get nothingness, unless the moon is like applying to something in your chart, which, like, since it's not aspecting anything in the sky, maybe that won't be brought into being. Maybe. Has anybody, I'm sure somebody has had that conversation. If the moon is void and it transits something in your chart, what does that turn out like? Maybe like something internal, but nothing like manifests into reality. And that could be a good thing if it's a malefic. So at night, 8 p.m. Pacific, the moon moves into Virgo, and then the next aspect is just a square with the sun, like ramping up, we're building the light again. And so Monday and Tuesday of next week are kind of like mellow and weird, not at all like Monday of this week, which is all over the place. Never forget, your Wi-Fi is a camera that can see through walls.